TJ, could you explain the effect of that anger when you've got the baseball bat and you're hitting the punching bag? Does that punching bag represent the person that you're angry with, and what's the effect of that on them?
Yes.
Rather than just if you were angry in thought towards them.
Yeah. The first step of your anger is denial of your anger. In that condition, you are projecting, unknown to you, and you are projecting the maximum amount of your anger to the other person. So when you deny your anger completely, you are actually projecting the biggest amount of anger that you could experience is actually going to that person. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. When you're in denial completely. Because everything you deny completely within yourself isn't passing through you, it's passing out of you. It's coming out of you. And it's going out to the universe, right? So when it's not passing through you, it is going out of you to the universe, just getting expressed to the people that you're angry with. So in denial of your anger, you are actually in the worst possible position from God's perspective. You are actually in a state where every single person around you is feeling what you should be feeling. You follow me? Does that make sense to everyone? Now the next step is I start experiencing my anger and owning it. As soon as I drop into that state, now those people are receiving less of my anger because I am now starting to experience some of it. Does that make sense to you?
Even if you're directly expressing that anger
to them,
person and hitting them with the baseball bat.
Oh no, you've got to be very careful about that. Yeah. Yeah. You are now at least owning some of that within yourself. That is actually a better place. And I'm not saying hitting a person is a better place, because you're doing a lot of bad things there, like to your own soul and to them. But actually beating the baseball bat, and even if you're laying screaming and saying F and whoever he is, and you're doing that, that is actually a better place for you. You are actually projecting less at that moment than you were when you're in total denial. All right? Can I just keep going with this explanation? The next step down from that is realising that the whole reason why I'm angry with this person is in fact because there's a heap of grief or sadness or fear that's underneath it that I do not want to own. And while I'm in that state, all of this grief and fear is being projected out to everyone. When I step down into my grief, now I'm owning my grief and feeling my grief. Now there is hardly anything going out to anyone. Does that make sense? And you get to the point where now, deeper than that, you'll find some unworthiness. When you're experiencing that, now there's hardly a single drop of it going out to the universe. You are now in full responsibility mode, feeling all of your emotions, and so therefore you are now no longer projecting it out to the universe. Does that make sense to everyone? It's important that, see, it's important that you get to see that this state is better than this state. Many of you think that's not true, but from God's perspective, that's true. This state is better than this state. This state, God can't do anything with you in that state. Can you see why? Because you're totally shut down from all emotion. God can't do anything with you. What's love? Love's an emotion. How is love going to enter you if you've shut down all of your emotion? It's not going to, is it? Now, as soon as you get out of that state into an emotional state, even if it is anger, you are now in a far better position, particularly if you talk to God about it. You are now in a far better position there than you were there, and everyone around you is in a better position there than they were there. And then when you step down even further into the denial of the grief and you realise that you've got a lot of blocks there, now you're even in a better space because you're not projecting the anger anymore, which means you're now taking more self-responsibility. Can you see it's a gradual step down and a gradual reduction of what you're sending out to the universe? Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's what's actually happening. So you are coming down from this state of total denial into this state of total acceptance of everything within inside you, and as you drop down into each level, you are actually projecting less damage to the universe, less damage to your father or your mother or to, whatever, whoever it is that you've got these issues with. But if you're not honest, you'll never get there.
Hey Jay, question.
say you feel you don't have a connection with God.
Yep.
Is there any reason why you don't necessarily express anger? You go straight to the feeling of identifying, for example, that you have an abandonment issue with God. There's no problem with going straight to that sort of thing.
Not at all. Yeah, remember, your anger is your choice to deny the underlying emotion.
Yeah, but if you go straight to the underlying emotion, there's no problem in working straight on that.
No, that's fine. However, you will find that you may still have feelings inside of you that you're not allowed to be angry with God, when in reality you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so you will need to experience that anger if that's the case. Do you follow me? Like, a lot of times, because anger is such a such an emotion we have so much judgment about, we want to skip over the anger and get to the other, whatever that is. And I did this for many, many years, right? And what I got left with was a group of emotions that I could never touch until I allowed myself to experience anger.